Being a mom is the hardest, most amazing job I've ever done. My children are my ministry. They're my calling.
I have to believe that He sees my darkness. I have to believe He knows my pain. I have to lift up my hands to worship His name.
When we received the cystic fibrosis diagnosis with Faith, the world around us stopped. Everything stood still, and then it began to turn completely upside down. When we first got the call that something came back on Faith's newborn screen, we were a little concerned, but I refused to believe that anything could possibly be wrong with one of our miracle babies. We had had a hard time conceiving, and they had literally only come to be through prayer and fasting. We had more tests ran, we prayed against it, and we went on. Faith was 7 weeks old when the positive test came back. I was in a complete state of unbelief. For a year, I did everything I could to disprove the diagnosis. We learned everything we could. We followed the doctor's directions. We gave the medications. We did the daily breathing treatments. And we tried our best to keep her from catching even the smallest of a cold, because every time she did, it would turn into a respiratory infection, and we ended up in Cosair. Faith had 3 week-long hospital stays by the time she was 18 months old. I fought against the diagnosis, everyone and everything. I felt like it was my fault when Faith would get sick. I constantly worried that I wasn't giving Hope what she needed because I was so busy trying to make sure Faith was okay. I spent a lot of the first few years of their life in what seemed like a foggy haze of anger, guilt, and paralyzing fear.
I have to declare that He is my refuge. I have to deny that I am alone. I have to lift up my eyes to the mountains. That's where my help it comes from.
When the girls were almost 3, we found out we were pregnant with Cannon. While we were both thrilled, we were also terrified. CF is a genetic disease. We had been told that there was a 25% chance with every pregnancy that the child would have it. Because of this, we honestly had no intention of having any more children, but God had other plans. Cannon was quite a surprise. The week after he was born, Cannon was admitted to the hospital. His oxygen level was low and he was having respiratory issues. His positive CF test came back on the 3rd day in. I was shattered. How could God allow this a second time? How could I put another child through all of this? There's more anger and more guilt. Friends stepped away. Family stepped back. It's hard for people to understand our life. I felt more alone than I ever had in my life, but I also felt terrible for feeling that way. I had everything I ever wanted. An amazing husband, 3 beautiful children, and I was even being able to stay home with them like I had prayed for. Yet, here I was, with all this mess in my head that I felt like was keeping me from being the mom they deserved. How was I ever going to help them through any of it if I couldn't get over it myself? All the while, only showing the smiling face of the happy mom to everyone else. And so around I went, stuck in this depressing circle of anger and guilt, and couldn't find a way out. Around that time, I met a friend that forced me to be real, not only with her, but with myself, and more importantly, with God. She helped me to realize that God already knew how I was feeling. I might as well tell him. He could handle my anger. I had to be honest with him. Even though he already knew, he was waiting for me to bring it to him, because until I did, I was too closed off to let him do anything about it anyway. God's too much of a gentleman to force his way in. So I prayed, and that was when he started to bring me out of the fog.
I have to stand tall
fast forward to now, I can't tell you I don't still struggle. Mom guilt can be a very powerful force if you let it. Seeing my children in pain or sick, or just even helping them deal with the emotional side of living with a chronic illness is hard, and it's heartbreaking. I'll always be extremely protective and cautious when it comes to their health. I have to be. But we don't fight this alone. God's done such amazing things just in the 9 years since CF became a part of our life. They're closer to a cure now than they ever have been, and the therapies that are already available have made huge differences in their health. But regardless of all that, I'm just so thankful to be free from the anger. God's shown me how to use worship to gain peace, to find the strength that I need to be the mom that they need. Not to sound cliche, but I've learned in a very real way that God doesn't allow the pain without a purpose. Recent events have been scary. Our children are definitely what they would consider the vulnerable category. But where there was a time when something like this would have sent me into a complete tailspin, God's brought me to a place where I know how to use wisdom instead. I can lay it all at His feet, even if I have to do it over and over again. It's okay, because He gets it.